Welcome back, ARCA Racing Series 250. It's the second race of the 2011 season. Out in front, Frank Kimmel looking for win number 75 for his career, closing in on Iggy Katona.
Did a little math during that commercial break. These guys pitted on lap number 17 with enough caution laps. I think they may be in their window to make it. Ray, what do you think?
I don't know, Phil. There's a lot of varying strategy down here. I mean, you remember Gerhardt pitted earlier at Daytona, and today he comes in on lap 63, so very interesting for sure. Back up at the front of the field, you'll see the 41 who is running in third. At Daytona, he was running third on the racetrack, and a car in front of him was blowing oil, so he backed off and went to the back of the field. Ty Dillon just came on the radio and said, guys, you're not going to believe it, but the 25 car in front must be throwing oil again. My windshield is completely covered, so he's very concerned. They're going to try to get by that 25 as fast as they can. They think there might be some oil coming out of that thing. Bob?
Well, go figure, Ray. I walked over to the Venerini Motorsports crew for the 25 of Scott Lagasse and said, hey, are you leaking oil? And they said, absolutely not. We've had the spotter check out the rear end of the car, and Scott Lagasse doesn't smell anything. But then again, I asked Big Bill Venerini, the car owner for this team, and he said, you know what? If it was pouring out, I would tell you it's not.
You know, usually it's a telltale sign on the back bumper. If something's leaking any fluid, just like we saw the front of Tom Hessard's car, that's the back bumper would look like that. And it looks like the 25 bumper is pretty clean on the back of that car.
There's Bill Venerini, ARCA Series champion.
There's that back bumper.
Closer look at it. There's a little oil back there.
A little bit of stuff, but you see on the left, that's the overflow from the gas. So there's not a great deal there. Sometimes it would be completely black if there was a lot of fluid coming out, but there's no doubt that there's something getting on Ty Dillon's windshield, though.
So as we come to the start-finish line, we'll have 29 laps of racing remaining. Kimmel out in front of Scott Lagasse Jr. The question mark on that 25, if it is having some fluid coming out of it. Ty Dillon runs behind him in third. Brandon McReynolds, Tim George Jr. your top 5. Sean Corr, Grant Enfinger, Tom Hessard, Hal Martin, Chris Buescher are your top 10. Rob Jones in the 28. Vinny Chastain, Wayne Peterson, Brent Breivik all scored laps down to this field. I think Brent Breivik back on the racetrack in the 3 as they're coming to the green flag.
I think those 3 drivers that pitted on lap number 17 have gambled that they were going to get enough caution laps. We've had 18 since lap 17 when they pitted. That may be enough.
Green flag comes back out the field across the stripe, again led by Frank Kimmel. Brent Breivik 11 laps down to the field on the inside. And they spread out behind as they go into turn number 1.
See Chad McCumbee right up against the outside wall. You see Ty Dillon. He tries to get to the outside of the 25. He's bringing Brandon McReynolds with him.
Ty Dillon trying to make the pass now on Frank Kimmel. Brandon McReynolds trying to go with him. What a restart for Ty Dillon as he clears that 44. But will he hang out Brandon McReynolds?
He's going to stay right up on the outside so Brandon McReynolds can draft off him. Now Lagasse needs to get against Frank Kimmel's rear bumper if he can.
Tim George Jr. also following that line. There goes Ty Dillon. Drops to the inside. Now Brandon McReynolds and Tim George Jr. hung out to dry on the outside.
Ty's going to pull up a little bit to help Brandon McReynolds. What a great job these young drivers have done this race.
Dillon back to the bottom of the racetrack, and now McReynolds just hanging on. Here goes Kimmel looking to the outside of that 41. Let's see if they start to do the 2-car draft.
Kimmel thought about it. He had a little bit of a run, had some momentum, thought about going to the outside, then thought better of it. See Chad McCumbee, Brett Hudson hooked up on the outside, very outside of the racetrack.
And the 4 and the 31 continue to drop back. Dakota Armstrong now tacking to the back of that outside line. Here comes the 32 of Matt Merrill as well. Milka Duno in the 63. There's Larry McReynolds watching as his son tries to make that outside line work. You know, Larry McReynolds won here with Davey Allison back in 1992 when Brandon was just 11 months old.
I bet you Larry's a lot more nervous right now than he was then.
I'm sure he is. A little wobble there as they work into 1 and 2.
Brandon has to rely on Tim George. Now look, Tim George got against him, and look at the momentum they gained.
Brandon McReynolds with a run down the backstretch now. If they work together, they'll be faster than the pack, but they're still learning. They're learning as we go how to do this two-car tandem.
You see, they break away when they get to the corner. If they could stay hooked up, then they would just drive around this inside line.
They would check out on that inside line. But again, not a lot of practice doing that. And so a little hesitant. Now you see Dakota Armstrong making the move with Matt Merrill just behind him.
And watch the momentum they get. Matt couldn't stay hooked up with him. That's the key, is you have to stay hooked up.
And Brandon McReynolds moved to the outside of Dakota, or in front of Dakota Armstrong, to try to get a push from the 22. Pretty smart move by the young man.
Absolutely. Wise beyond his years.
So the inside line being led by Ty Dillon. Frank Kimmel running second. Lagasse Jr. is third. Sean Cora, the 82, scored fourth. The battle is for fifth. On the inside, that's Grant Enfinger in the 36. The outside is the 4 of Brandon McReynolds. Right.
Well, talking about spotters up on the top, Lauren Rainier calling the shots for Brandon McReynolds today, talking him through this little bit of bump drafting, and Brandon just came on the radio and said, tell him to push me all the way around the track. I can hold the wheel. Let him come. We want to go to the front. Bob?
Well, Ray, here is the problem when you push somebody, and it's something that Scott Lagasse Jr. learned in that last green flag run. He pushed the 44 to the front, but the problem was that car started to overheat just a little bit. Scott said, I need some air to cool this thing off, and that's why right now they're lagging back just a little bit. They're trying to bide their time and push at the right time.
And the push was made by Dakota Armstrong. We saw Brandon McReynolds fly by Ty Dillon to take the lead, and his dad was pretty happy about it.
That's amazing, though, that all it takes is about a half a lap. Now we see Dakota Armstrong jump to the outside of Brandon McReynolds with help from Ty Dillon.
And McReynolds is going to get hung out now as we see Ty Dillon go to the outside. Kimmel checks back to the inside. Lagasse stays with Kimmel. In front of this field, it's Dakota Armstrong, but just for a moment. Now Kimmel goes to the outside. He'll battle for the lead.
Hey, this is Talladega now.
Now it's looking like Talladega. Lagasse to second. In front, it's Dakota Armstrong. Kimmel on that outside line. Will they make the outside line work now?
How about Bobby Gerhardt? He makes it 3 wide. Going to try to pull up beside of Milka Duna.
Look at the run Kimmel has. Got a push from Ty Dillon. Now Kimmel battling for the lead on the outside of Dakota Armstrong. Here comes Ty Dillon to get on the back bumper, that 44, and the outside line's moving now.
Watch when Ty Dillon gets up against that bumper. Look at the momentum they gain.
And away goes Kimmel. 2-car length lead over second place Dakota Armstrong. Now he'll check back up. Will he get in front of the 22 or the 41? That's the question.
I think he wanted to be in front of both of them.
He's got a long ways to go. 23 laps remaining in this one.
Oh, trouble.
Round
Hal
Martin and into the wall. Martin hard into the inside wall. Caution comes out once again.
Well, you knew that angle that Hal came off the racetrack, that he was going to make contact with that inside wall. Great to see him moving around in the car, though.
Twice Hal Martin has gone for a ride. This time it will end his 2011 Talladega Superspeedway experience.
And unfortunate for Hal Martin, but again, good news for the guys that pitted on lap number 17. Ty Dillon, Tim George Jr., and Brandon McReynolds. More caution laps.
Safety crews get to Hal Martin. He was running 10th when he got sideways and into the inside wall. Bob?
And apparently, according to Hal Martin and his spotter, Mike Herman Jr., they said they got tagged by the 17. Now, the 17 and the 55 were trying to hook up and draft just moments ago, but their cars really weren't working well together. And then the 17 just ran into the back of the 55 guys.
That happened the first time.
Absolutely.
Joey Coulter was in front of him. The 17 was behind him. Let's take another look.
Here we are right there. You see the 17 of Chris Buescher gets against his back bumper, and probably Hal Martin was hitting the brakes because he was against the front bumper or the back bumper of the car in front of him. We get another view right here. Well, that's all it takes. And look at that angle now. He's headed towards the inside wall. Had the brakes locked up, that thing wouldn't turn. But thank goodness for the safer barriers.
It is great to see the give that wall has, but still the damage done to that race car. The water out of the radiator. There's another look.
He just got against him, and it pushed him headed towards the outside wall. Then I think Hal probably corrected, and then he was still against him and just shoved him to the inside.
Right along with Hal Martin. This one's going to sound difficult.
It's a sound you hate to hear right there.
Take a look at this real time. It happens fast.
I mean, Hal never even had time to back off until that thing was headed towards the inside wall.
It was the 17 of Chris Buescher that was right behind him. You can see the wear on the front of that race car, and it's just where it starts to angle back, which almost gives a lifting motion to the car in front of him.
Could very well, because these cars aren't like the Sprint Cup cars. These cars aren't exactly alike, you know, in the front ends.
They'll put that car up on the rollback and take a look at the impact this wall takes. Flexes as the 55 slams into it on the backstretch. Hal Martin out of that race car. We're under caution once again. Kimmel out front.